First opportunity for the public to address this committee. We'll start off with Mr. Tom Mankey regarding Magnet.
Well, good afternoon. I've got a request for you all to do. As you know, as a journalist, I write on all the people that are being sent to prison for doing meth, selling meth here in this community. We had a grandmother, 42, the state recommended she just get probation. We had a rule here in this county for deterrence, so they gave her 21 months in prison instead of probation, as the Department of Corrections asked or suggested. However, if that's needed, then that's needed. But we have a bigger problem. We have a bigger problem, and that is Magnet has claimed that they know who all the distributors are and all the dealers. But it is not their job to arrest them. It is only their job to arrest people like this. Today, this grandma who was an addict and she sold for her personal use. But the people up, Magnet claims they know who these people are. But that's not what they're hired to do here in this county. So in 35 years, they have never taken down a major distributor or dealer. Never. In fact, I've had a former police officer tell me that 15 years ago, he was told that they were not going to go after the kingpin he wanted to go after. Because if they took that kingpin, they might not have enough people to arrest downstream to keep their funding coming in. So their funding is all on how many people they can arrest at a time, but not on how much drugs they can take off the street or how far up they can go. In Michigan, we've never had a member of the cartels, Mexican cartels, ever arrested. We have never had in Michigan a high individual that is bringing it into Michigan. They claim they know in Shiawassee County, and our judge can tell you this, he has had over and over the state police come in and testify that they followed a person from Shiawassee County to the drug distribution place, but they never take down the distributors. They leave them alone. So who do we arrest? Who do we put in prison? A 42-year-old grandma who is an addict. And the person who is selling up here, they know who it is, and they won't take them out. And as I've told you all before, I know the deal because I took down a larger drug dealer when I was 22 than Magnet has ever taken down here. Tim Jent's former school board president and I, we went to Florida and played Miami Vice. They paid us cash. But we took down. So all I'm asking is please ask the lieutenant from Magnet to come in and explain to you all why they're not taken down who they know has it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mankey. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee at this time? Hearing none, we'll move into our community development monthly reports from Peter Preston. Thank you, Mr. Preston.
Zoning permits 30, building permits 29, and of the 29 building permits, we actually had 6 new housing starts. So that's the way the market is right now. Who knows? As far as code enforcement, we only had 28 actionable items as our code enforcement officer was out on vacation for 10 days. So this falls within our average.
Pete, over on Beard Road, we have, and this has been going on a while, and I've heard all sorts of stories. It's the Farrs. They live on, I think it's West Beard Road, and they have trailers in the backyard, and people living in the trailers, and it didn't come to that.
I couldn't tell you offhand. We have a lot of those that have carried over for a decade or so. I can tell you that our system, as we get it set up, that we're going to start out slow and hit some of those. In other conversations, we are looking at those bigger ones that have went on and on and on and seem never to resolve, to go ahead and get outside of the civil infraction and go with more of a just prosecutorial and get action directly through the court instead of going through these step-by-steps. I couldn't tell you offhand. I have a number of those that float around in my head, and I don't want to misspeak as to the problem child.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I'm sure every one of you here can think of that one in your district that's been there for quite a while.
Any other questions for Mr. Preston? Thank you, Mr. Preston.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll move into our agenda items. We'll start off with item A. We'll entertain a motion to approve the L-4029 2022 tax rate request as presented and instruct the chair and clerk to execute the same.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Have a motion supported on item A on the floor. Questions or discussion regarding this item?
Just note this is prepared by Pete, and these are the current villages that are levied either by vote or by this board.
I got a question for Pete. I forgot about. On the solar for Venice and Hazelton, you give a report. Is that accurate or not? I mean, people might question me on that.
Accurate as I can make it accurate.
Oh, okay.
I'm not holding back any information or.
Oh, okay. I just want to get it from the, you know.
Please encourage them to give me a holler and I'll be more than happy to talk through it with them.
Yeah.
I did make one typo instead of Hazelton, I put Hazel Township on one of the lines,
Oh.
but we got that resolved.
Okay. Thanks. I just thought. I'm sorry.
No?
Good question, Commissioner. Thank you. All right, any other discussion regarding item A? Hearing none. All in favor of moving it forward on to Wednesday signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. That motion will carry. Now we'll entertain a motion on item B to approve the resolution numbered 22-09-13 establishing state authority over plumbing and mechanical.
I'll make that motion.
Item B's been moved. I will support it and open it for discussion.
Thank you. In my agenda item request to administration, instead of be providing that document here today, I do not have that prepared yet. The clerk's office is looking for a reference document that this was originally done in, should have been done in 2000. Some communities end up doing it 2001 and 2002. Morgan today found some breadcrumbs for me to follow, and so I'll be following up on that. In the event that we're not able to find the reference document, I'll be working with legal counsel in order to get a rescind on, I guess, an unnamed document at that point, so we can move forward with the state. What this is all about is that the state of Michigan has been providing us temporary services for plumbing and mechanical inspections for the last couple of years, and now they have decided that they want us to rescind our old ordinance, which is 20 plus years old, in order for them to take authority, even though they noticed us in 2000 that they're just going to take authority unless we did a resolution. So this is a total chase your tail situation here. I did contact the state to see, hey, these documents were to be provided to you and kept on file at the Bureau of Construction Codes, and they said, I'm sorry, it's beyond our retention schedule, so it has been trashed. So anyways, we're trying here, and I hope by Thursday to have that resolution to you. It'll be very short and sweet, saying that the county at this time no longer chooses to maintain plumbing and mechanical jurisdiction, but at any time we may take that back once we find individuals to do that. And I've talked to a dozen people over the last couple of years to do that service, and they're talking about windows of a couple hours a week to provide services to the county, and that we don't want that. We want somebody to have time in the office. We want somebody to be able to do an inspection on a Friday when somebody's getting ready to move in on a Saturday. So I've not been able to find that individual yet.
I will add that this is an important thing for us to get resolved at some point, because it really hampers the county's ability to advance economic development if we're relying on the state for inspections.
But we're passing a resolution that that's what we're gonna do now, because we can't find.
That's correct.
But we've been relying on them for 20 years as well, is that
No,
what you're saying?
we've been relying on them for the past couple of years
Okay.
as a temporary service, but because of their procedures. And the difficulty is that I hear out in the field is that the state doesn't even have the staff to do these inspections, which is the fear here coming from Dr. Boggs as well, is at what point do they get loaded up that they can't provide consistent services as well. being in proximity to Lansing, it's been okay for us thus far, but that can change.
And does this preclude us from using private
No.
people with it? So if we found somebody who could just transition right away?
Right, the
Or
unicorn.
use both?
Right, the unicorn we had for a while was a plumbing and mechanical inspector and one guy. So he could go out and do both inspections at the same time, make the fee for both inspections. And Henry Howard was a great individual and passed away approximately 3 or 4 years ago. Then the subsequent folks, we had to let go, so.
Any other questions?
It's hard to find somebody for the pay, is that?
It's not necessarily the pay, it's the service, it's what level of service that we have. It's difficult enough with contracted inspectors setting up a schedule, but we want all of our electricians in the area to know, you call in and you're gonna get it, make sure your house is ready, or whatever you're doing is ready every Wednesday, because our inspector's gonna be here. The others are a little haphazard and saying, well, I'll put it on a schedule, I'll get to it sometime that week. We want consistency for our contractors, for our homeowners and such, to know that they're going to get a plumbing, mechanical, or electrical inspection a consistent time during the week.
So,
that they can plan
so the
for it.
state is doing it on time then?
The state is right now doing, and that's our proximity to Lansing. They're usually hitting us on the way out of Lansing, doing all points east. So it's been working out okay, but the fear is there that we're gonna hamper our services.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
So if you know any plumbing and mechanical inspectors, send them this way.
Understood. All right, in that case, all in favor of moving item B forward onto Wednesday, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will move to Wednesday. Now we'll entertain a motion to approve the PA 116 farmland agreement application 22-00008 for Mark Shank as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Support?
Have a motion, item C, moved and supported. Questions or discussion regarding this item? Hearing none. All in favor of moving it forward, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item C will move on to Wednesday. Now, we will entertain our final call to the public if there's anyone that would like to address the committee at this time. Mr. Mackey.
Yeah, I'll just finish up. Some of you weren't, I don't think y'all were here a few years ago when the lieutenant that runs Magnet was in here and talked to you all. And she stated to the board at that time that their job, again, was to take numbers, take all these little people down off the street, users, people that are addicted. The latest that came from not too long ago from the defense attorney was they're not even asking when they arrest somebody now for drugs. They no longer ask them who'd you buy it from, because they claim they know who they bought it from. They just want names of 5 more users or addicts. That is their thing. Meanwhile, we have a scourge of poison being sold, and 85% of it is coming in from Mexico, according to the state of Michigan. Michigan State Police sent me a story not too long ago. However, 85% is coming in from Mexico, and they don't arrest anybody bringing it up from Mexico. And they're not arresting anyone. So bottom line, if you have $500,000 and you want to go out and get in the drug business, they'll leave you alone. If you don't have any money and you just gotta buy enough for today to sell to keep using, then they'll arrest you. And it costs us $40,000 a year to imprison anyone. So when we send a person to prison for 2 years, that's $80,000, and they can get their drugs in prison. That's not even kept quiet. So what I'm asking is, why since Magnet's right here, and they're using 5 or 6 officers, they got more police than anyways, ask them, why are they not focusing on cutting the tree down instead of just picking up apples off the ground? That's my question. And if they say they're not here, well, then they know where they're at in other counties, then they can work with the drug department in the other counties and take them down. And if they gotta go to Detroit or Lansing, so what? Let's get those big people that don't do drugs, that are making millions a year selling off the street. Well, no, they're not on the street. I'm sorry, we're taking the people off the street, but we're leaving the people in the, up above. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mankey. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee at this time? With that, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone who wishes to speak at this time? Okay. Julie, you're up.
Good evening. Treasurer's office is busy right now collecting Shiawassee Township summer taxes. The deadline for your summer taxes at townships, Wednesday the 14th, to avoid any late fee or whatever. So we've been busy in the office with that collection. Been up in the attic for you and have had a number of boxes pulled down, and a number of boxes are marked for the guys to bring down. And came across one box that said dispose of in 2001. It's like, yeah, there's 20 years of that same stuff up there. So that felt really good.
Did the courthouse raise a little bit?
I think so. I think it had a little sigh, a nice breath,
Yeah.
fresh breath, yeah. Land Bank met this morning. We're still, of course, in organizational phases. Possible agreement with the state on acquiring the Shiawassee County parcels that they have. So there's some discussion going on with that. There is a land bank conference in October that a couple of us might be attending. Those that can't attend possibly will Zoom and watch some of that meeting. But hoping to just learn some things at the conference. It's down in Detroit, October 16th through the 18th. Other than that, nothing real new and exciting to bring to you.
Good. Any questions for Julie? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's now move into our agenda items. We need a motion to approve the proposal from Brand Roll for repairs to the limestone exterior of the Surbeck building in the amount not to exceed $35,500.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
So, as you noticed, we have a limestone kind of finishing that goes along the first floor of this building. Brand Row, who's the one doing the work on the courthouse, we had a couple of meetings over here, including with our cathedral repair guy for the other courthouse, and we had to look at the exterior of this one because pieces of it are starting to peel away and flake off of the outside of the building. It's a result of salt. So evidently there's not like some kind of salt block or something that just prevents it. So the salt is put on the sidewalk. It's a kind of salt that works its way up through moisture in the side of the building, and it's what's destroying the limestone finish. So they're going to repair the limestone finish and then treat it so that the salt does not erode that part. That's the only repairs done to this building with those funds.
Does that have to be treated often, every few years?
No, according to them, this is supposed to, it's supposed to last between 10 and 15 years.
Oh, because a lot of your treatments only last for a few years and they gotta do it again, which is,
And this may have been treated at one time, and it has expired, or, it's ran its course. Some of this was replaced during the fire, some of it was not replaced during the fire. So it's had a series of different experiences.
Yeah, I don't remember in any recent history of doing anything. Yes.
Well, and if you look at the front, the reason that the front doesn't match, the front right doesn't match the front left is because when the fire happened, the insurance company didn't pay to replace the limestone on the other side. So in the event that this limestone decays and falls apart, they're probably not going to pay to replace it. So it's important for us to maintain it.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Item B, need a motion to approve the new OPEB trust document as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Support.
Does the motion support, Doc?
Very briefly, we have an OPEB trust set up through MERS. However, it's not funded and we don't use it. So currently, we're paying our OPEB liabilities out of our general fund. We need to move away from that. We need to work on funding the trust. And because most of our employees moving forward, as employees retire, will be part of the new defined contribution system, it's important for us to create a new trust document outside of MERS, because eventually, by the time we get that by the time we get this OPEB trust funded and those employees are ready to retire, we will no longer be using MERS because those employees will have all ended and left and will only be paying on the liabilities. So this isn't something that you're going to use today, tomorrow, or the next 10 or 15 years, but you will be using it soon, and so we need to create this document and begin funding it. And the only individuals that receive OPEB benefits are sheriffs, road patrol, corrections, and 911, and that includes their health care after they've retired. They're the only employees that get it. Right now, we are paying that directly out of the general fund. Not a recommended continued practice.
Understand. Okay, any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Okay, thank you. Need a motion to approve the agreement with Walsh Consulting to conduct a coordinator search.
So moved.
I'll support that. Discussion.
Just very briefly, I have invited him to speak on Wednesday. At this point, it's really about just advancing it to hear the presentation on Wednesday. The MML has responded. If you noticed the email I included in your packet, they are completely booked and there is a waiting list for searches through them.
Okay. So we'll listen to this gentleman on Wednesday.
John, if I could,
Yes.
like I commented at the special meeting, I think it's a little overkill. I did talk to Bennington Township, I'll talk to Scioto tonight, gauge their thoughts on it. I have not found anyone that is in favor of it so far, other than, this board. I think it's a waste of money, and I think an ad on Indeed would net us just as good results. And I think we, as this board, are capable of doing the hiring just like we did with our finance director, with excellent results, I might add. That's my piece.
Any other discussion?
Do they advertise and we can, is that it, or what? We can still advertise it just like they do for people, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be on the internet or some way.
They're gonna send it out to people and they're gonna recruit.
Oh,
They'll post it in different locations. There are some very specific municipal locations that they will post it for, like city managers and things of that nature. But I think at this point, what's key is you're advancing it from this board to Wednesday to hear the presentation. Then at that point, you can determine whether or not you wish to move forward with the search, or how you wish to move forward with the search.
Sure.
John, if I may?
Yes.
Just a comment. Commissioner Garber and I have talked about this. We disagree.
We do.
I think if anything, the last 10, 12 years has shown us is the effect on the county of having the wrong person in this position and the terrific things that can happen in this county if we have the right person in this position. And while yes, it'll be $15,000 or something like that, $14,000, I would hate to somebody look back a little bit. If Dr. Boggs hadn't come along and we had hired someone who didn't work out well, think of all the things last few years that would not have happened. So I just think that it's definitely worth casting that wider net and trying to get as good a person as we can. And of course, we're not asking these people to do the hiring for us. We can still do our own searches and everything else, and it will be this body that makes the decision. They're just bringing us candidates. I think that's worth the money.
I don't know, I don't see people flocking here. I think the person that takes this job, I don't think they're gonna move here from out of state or even move here at all. I don't know, I just don't see our search being that.
And
I just know we can,
go ahead.
I don't think we can assume that up front. I mean, there's a good chance there's somebody looking that would be a perfect fit for us. And I think getting that guidance and direction, having someone help us figure out what we need, what strengths, you know, where our gaps are and what we need and all of that sort of thing will only help move the county forward. So I think a small investment up front to find a really quality person is well worth the money.
I don't know, I think that's gonna be a tough sell to our constituents, but.
I would also add that, given that the MML is completely and totally booked, that means there are a lot of searches open. Because the people that do those searches for the MML are retired city managers. And if they're completely booked, that means all of their consultants in their group are conducting searches all over the state. That means there's a lot of openings. That means there's a lot of movement. That means there are a lot of candidates who you may miss out on if you don't engage a firm to put it somewhere where they're going to see it.
Also to keep in mind, we have put together over the last 2.5, 3 years, a good finance department. We have made changes. Again, I'd like to reiterate, last 3 years, our audits are in on time. They've been spotless, A+. We've saved money in our general fund. I mean, some of this is due to the SEV going up, and of course, sometimes the wind farm helps pretty good. Or the solar farm, not wind farm, solar farm, gee, don't give me that one. Well, I'm sure it'll be in the Argus tomorrow. So, you know, we have a pretty good working relationship with all our staff and our elected officials at this time. So attracting somebody might be, I shouldn't say easier, but we might have more applicants. Because we do have a complete staff in place. And that's a key thing. And with what's gonna go on next year is, I gotta move everybody out of the courthouse, oh my, and then 6 months, and, you know, I'll just throw this out, something that we should be discussing is, in our budget for this year, we have a new building to be built at the maintenance complex that basically was a pole barn structure and or could have temperature control and or could be, you know, fitted for heat, electricity, and wiring. That's something that I think we should really consider hard. I think we should get it moving.
Is that gonna be Walsh Consulting?
No, this is the building.
We should probably vote on.
Yeah, I mean, but this is, you know, I mean, so we have a lot on our plate. And we'll need somebody in place to really help with that. Whatever system we use, we have to get at it right away. Right away. I mean, we're not gonna wait till Christmas. So, anyway. Okay, we have this motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion?
Well, I would agree with you, John. Our administrative team here is, I think they really go without the praise they deserve. I mean, between Lacey, Casey, Tracy, Morgan, they do a phenomenal job.
Yes, they do.
So,
Yep, very satisfying. Okay, any other discussion? If
Commissioner
not,
Olshausen.
oh, Gary.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily bad to do that, but just because we're gonna get somebody that's top notch, don't mean we're gonna get somebody good in here that we don't even know about from another area or part of the state that we don't know the personal things behind them and everything like that, so Just because you're getting somebody way down in Detroit or Jackson or don't mean they're gonna be perfect for our area.
Oh,
So-
yeah,
So,
absolutely. And we may
it's
not
kind of a
find-
wishy-washy, so.
That could be a real tough thing.
They're not gonna move here now unless we double the pay, so, or triple it, so.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
2-1. Okay, thank you. Also, master plan for the Parks Committee met this morning, and we're moving right along. We'll have the draft for the November meeting. We've completed almost everything that has to be done, and it's all printed. Phil Hathaway is very studious. But anyway, we'll have rough draft for November, and hopefully we'll pass it in January. This was just announced, that was last week, that the state will have $60 million for villages, cities, small cities, villages, and counties for park improvements without a match. So, but if you get them, if you're funded, they'll only fund up to $150,000 for a project. So if you're gonna do a project up to 150, they'll fund without a match. Anything after that, it would have to be by the county or donations or whatever. But we want to be in place for that, and if we approve the Parks Master Plan in December, that means January 1st, we can apply for grants from the state for projects in parks and so on. So we're moving right along. We want to get it done, so it'll be ready to go and ready to apply for that money January 1st.
Where's that, so that money, that 60 million is from the state?
It's ARPA money.
What about maybe some help with heating and groceries for people? I don't know, 60 million on parks when people are gonna struggle to heat their homes and eat this winter is,
Well, that's,
to me, that's a tough sell.
well, it's what they want to do, so if it's available, then we should be in position to handle it, so. Anyway, and so it'll be quite a comprehensive study done. We'll have maps and parks and what we should be doing and things we should be doing, which we've been doing. We've been doing a lot, but we'll keep doing a lot. Okay, with that, anything else? Second call for the public. Yes, Tom.
I got a question for you all. If you could, I see here it just says approve the agreement with Walsh Consulting to conduct a coordinator search. And there's quite a few people that watch this now, and I think what people want to know is, okay, we know it's going to cost $14,000 if we go with them, but what do we get out of it? Are they going to interview everyone, or are they just advertising? Because if they're just advertising, I know some people in the media industry will do it for $500, and we'll reach the same amount of people. But then you still will have to do the interviews. So my question is, for $14,000, is it just for them to pop up some ads? And then what happens if you don't like any of their people and you just go ahead and hire someone else? We're still paying them $14,000? Because I did hear Mr. Holzhausen say, well, we can still look for ourselves, can't we? Well, yeah, but we're spending $14,000 for somebody else to. So if you could, before we close, I'm just asking, if you could let our viewers know what we're gonna get if you guys go with this on Wednesday. Thank you.
Yeah, what we're going to do is have the gentleman come in and explain what this corporation or this group can do. They're out of Okemos, I believe. And how they would go about it, so we'll get to listen to what they can offer. I believe there's a couple other firms out there, and we may take a look at them too. So we'll just see what is in the offering. We haven't had to do this for a while, and maybe it's good to hear what everybody else is doing to try to find personnel. So for the people out there, we'll listen to the presentation and we'll take it all in. Okay. Anything else this evening? If not, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
weekend.